Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. This is part 2 of my Rhino Records Rocktober release video. It's a whole lot of R's, but so make sure you go back and check out the first half of the video. This video, I'm talking about the last 13 releases. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, this is part 2 of the Rhino Records Rocktober release video. I talked about the first 13 albums in the part 1. This is the last 13 albums I'm going to talk about today. They're kind of broken up. A lot of the stuff it's kind of compressed into the first 2 weeks of October. You got 21 albums coming out on October 6th. And then you got 5 more albums coming out October 13th. It's a little bit different than what Rhino has done in the past, where they kind of spread it out over all 4 weeks of October. I'm not really sure why they're changing it up this year, but that's how they're doing it. I will say the 26 albums that are coming out for October, I think is by far the most I've seen them release. Typically it's like 12 to 15. It's great we're seeing so many releases coming out from Rhino for October. So the first one, this is Monkees' Greatest Hits. This was released in 1976. It was their second greatest hits compilation that the Monkees had released. The first one has been reissued a bunch of times. I think they just did it for Record Store Day earlier this year also. But that one was released in the 60s during like the height of the Monkees. This one was a little differently. So when the Monkees when they were syndicated, I think it was 75 when they were syndicated, they started becoming popular again. That's when the label was like, hey, maybe we should put another compilation together or release some more stuff. It ended up selling a whole bunch. It was a big hit when it came out. But this is going to be on yellow vinyl. It's going to run you $25. Really kind of capitalizing on their kind of reclaimed popularity. And then the next one is the most recent of the 26 releases coming out for October. This is Portugal the Man, Woodstock. This was released in 2017. It was the band's 8th studio album. It's on clear vinyl. It's going to run you $25. I'm not all that familiar with this band. I mean, I know of the band, but I've never really kind of sat down and listened to really any of their music. The only song I was familiar with is Feel It Still, which, is a good track, but like I said, I need to go back and listen to this album again and kind of dig through the rest of the band's material, because like I said, they've released a bunch of stuff over the years, a lot of great reviews. I just have never really checked it out. And then this next one is one that I'm definitely looking forward to. This, of all the 26 releases, this is definitely one I'm gonna grab. But it's Stone Temple Pilots, Thank You. It's a double LP. It's on sky blue vinyl. It's going to run you $35. This was released in 2003. This is a compilation of great tracks off the band's first 5 albums. It's it's a lot of their biggest hits. It does have some. I'll say that there isn't a whole lot of deep cuts on there, but there's a couple of tracks I was a little surprised they included on the compilation. But like I said, I think this is going to be a huge mover. Probably one of the biggest selling releases for October. There's a couple of really great Talking Heads releases coming out for October. The first one is Little Creatures, released in 1985. It was the band's 6th studio album. It's on sky blue vinyl. It's going to run you $25. This is an interesting album because it's a little different than their first 5 albums, because it kind of has, I mean, I don't want to say it's got like a country influence. That's kind of the best way I can really describe the differences on this album. It's a great album. It's, in my opinion, it's their best album. It's actually their best-selling album also. It's just one that, I haven't listened to it in a long time. It's probably been 10 years since I've listened to it. But seeing it on this list, I need to go back and listen to it again, because like I said, it's just a fantastic album. And then you got True Stories, which was released in 86, the band's 7th studio album. It's going to be on translucent red vinyl. It's going to run you $25. This is the first time it's been available on vinyl since it was released in 86. I remember when this album came out, the video for Wild Wild Life was just all over MTV. The next one's a pretty interesting release because it's very different than his debut album. But this is Van Morrison, Astro Weeks, released in 1968. It was his 2nd studio album. This is going to be on olive vinyl. It's going to run you $25. It's really interesting because it's so much more musically diverse than his first album, which his first album had Brown Eyed Girl on it. It's probably the one track that everyone knows by Van Morrison. But Astro Weeks had like, there was like pop on here, there was folk on here, there's blues, there's jazz, just so many other genres that he kind of incorporated into this album. It makes for a really interesting release, and it's one that it's very different than a lot of things that people, or a lot of music that people expect from Van Morrison. But it's a good album though. So you got that, and then you got Yes singles coming out. This is a new compilation of singles from the band's 12 biggest hits from 1970 to 1983. It's going to be on yellow, orange, and black splatter. It looks pretty cool if you see the mock-up online. It's going to run you about $25 also. It's, I'm not a big fan of Yes, but, this is one that I could probably get, just kind of like a good compilation of. So over the last couple of years, it seems like every Rocktober, there's a ZZ Top release. And there's another one this year. This is also the last of the 21 releases for October 6th. This is ZZ Top, the best of ZZ Top, released in 1977. This is the greatest hits compilation of 10 of their biggest tracks from the first, 6 albums of their career. It was 1971 to 1975. It's going to be on translucent blue vinyl. As far as compilations goes, man, this is ZZ Top is another one of those bands where I can probably pick up a couple of different greatest hits compilations and kind of be good, especially this one, like the early part of their career. They did do some really good stuff, but I think most of it's going to be on this compilation. And then you got 5 albums that are coming out on October 13th. The first one is Fleetwood Mac, Mystery to Me. This is going to be on Ocean Blue vinyl. It was released in 1973. It was their 8th studio album. This is going to run you $25. This is one of the best early part of Fleetwood Mac, pre Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham era. I think this is probably one of the best albums from that earlier period. And if all you know is from their self-titled and Rumors On, this is definitely a great album to kind of go back through and check out earlier in the band's career. So the next 3 releases are all from Matchbox 20. So I will say that if you're somebody that bought the vinyl box set, when it came out a year or two ago, and you've been holding on to it because you want to sell it for more money, you might want to sell it now because the next 3 releases are the 3 big albums from the box set that hadn't been available on vinyl before, and now they're all getting released outside of that box set. So the value is definitely going to go down on that box set here pretty soon. But the first one, this is Mad Season, released in 2000. It was the band's 2nd studio album. It's on sky blue vinyl. It's a double LP, so it's going to be a little bit more money. It's going to run you $35. I will say this is a different album, and I think that their debut was released, I think it was 4 years before this album came out. And really in that 4 years time span, you could really hear how much the band had progressed and grown. I don't think it has the really big, huge tracks like the first album does, but overall I think it's probably a more complete album from the band. Definitely one worth going back through and checking out. The next one is More Than You Think You Are, released in 2002. It was their 3rd studio album. It's on violet vinyl. It's also a double LP. It's going to run you $35. This is a little bit different of an album, and I think that the band, it's a harder album. I don't want to call it a hard rock album, but if Matchbox 20 is going to do a hard rock album, it's this one. It definitely has a harder edge to it. And I think that kind of alienated some fans a little bit, and maybe that's why this album didn't sell as well as the band and the label had hoped. And then the 3rd album from Matchbox 20 is North. This was released in 2012. It was their 4th studio album. It's on white vinyl. It's going to run $25. This is also going to be available for the first time ever on vinyl outside of that box set. And this is kind of a catchier album than the previous couple of albums were. I think, at least in my opinion, it's probably their most underrated album. It's definitely one, like I said, if you're just familiar with the early part of Matchbox 20 career, if their first or second album is all you've ever listened to, North is a fantastic album to go back through and check out. And then the last one on the list, the 26th and final album, is Talking Heads Naked, released in 1988. It was their 8th studio album. It's also their final studio album. It's going to be on purple vinyl. It's going to run you $28. And this is the first time it's been available on vinyl since it was first released. This is a little bit different album than what Talking Heads had done the previous couple of albums. It's kind of a return to form for Talking Heads. I think musically, it's a lot closer to the earlier period of the band that made them, as great of a band as they were. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up for Rhino Records Rocktober. There's a bunch of releases coming out, 26 albums total. Make sure you also go back and check out the first half of this episode if you didn't watch it. And just let me know what you're looking forward to picking up. I think there's a bunch of great stuff. There's definitely at least 3 or 4 albums coming out that I'm looking forward to. But if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.